What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Like always, like and subscribe, and like always, there's a wire dangling by my head. um Things are going to be looking different in the videos soon as my shelves are going to empty out. Good news. And I'll do a writing vlog this week, I promise. I know I've been saying it for like 3 months. And a little bit of a life update. We're finally going to be moving soon, so we're going to be boxing stuff up, but I'm going to keep my shelves up because I'm blocking out, our tiny house behind me. You don't want to see that. But anyways, today we're going over Tom Clancy Rainbow Six. 8 out of 10. It wasn't so bad that I needed to just like totally crap all over it, but it wasn't good. Like, the book needed to be less than 500 pages. There was no reason it needed to be 900 pages, and it just was. It was like 3 recycled plots from his other books that he mashed into one super plot. I will say the last 150 pages was pretty good. It made me like involved in the book, and I wanted to, see what happens. Even then, the ending was kind of dumb, and it just wasn't. This is my 11th Ryan verse. It can't even really. It's not Ryan verse because it's a John Clark novel. Compared to Without Remorse, this book is absolute garbage. Without Remorse was such a great book, the other John Clark novel. But within the Ryan verse, this is like number 11. So my 11th Tom Clancy book, really my 10th, because one was written by Mark Cameron. Go find the review for that one. Was called Red Winter if you want to see my thoughts on that one. Tom Clancy's still my favorite author of all time, but we'll see. I think he and Dean Koontz are going to rotate depending on who I'm into, I'm reading. I got Dean Koontz. Dean Koontz is a seasonal read for me. Fall's coming up. I want to read more Dean Koontz. That's just the way it is. But this book was the first one out of the 10 by Tom Clancy himself that just wasn't that good to me. And I've seen a lot of people they loved it. But I'm thinking maybe they never read Executive Orders, because your main subplot that turns into the main plot as the book goes on, it's freaking from the book Executive Orders. I just don't understand what he was thinking coming up with this. Like, maybe he was just out of ideas for these bad guys to have or something by the time he wrote this one. I don't know. This one came out in 1996, I think. 1998. We don't have any cover artist information on this one, so I'm assuming it's just some uncredited compiled art. I do like the image. Not as much as I would have liked the... there's another one, I think it's just a helicopter on the front or something. The old school looking art. That's the one I should have got, but whatever. It is what it is. I need to replace Without Remorse too, because I got the movie tie-in cover on that one. But anyway, skin sidetrack. I don't know. The book, the recycled plots, the basically 400, almost 500 extra pages of just didn't need to be there. There was way too much buildup to give you nothing, really. It wasn't rewarding. Like, Debt of Honor was a lot of buildup. It was a slog, but when you got to that end, it was so rewarding. You felt so good finishing that book and heading into Executive Orders, and I just didn't get that feeling with this book at all. I'm not burned out with Clancy at all. I could literally pick up The Bear and the Dragon right now and read it. I mean, I'd love and especially the Ryan verse. Like, I'm going to continue the Ryan verse till I finish all 45 books. I don't care if they're technically not written by Clancy. I don't care. I want to read those other authors too. And I'll sprinkle in some actual Clancy novels as I go, because he has a few others. But his main ones, well, not his main ones, because I haven't read Red Storm Rising yet. And I think he has another one that is practically unheard of, but there's a bunch that we've been discovering that I just haven't heard of yet, looking up Tom Clancy. But anyways, see, that's the problem with books that aren't that good. I just don't even feel like talking about them, so I start rambling about other stuff. Well, I can't say that because I ramble on all the videos, but this book just wasn't that great. You know what I mean? I'm being generous with the 8 out of 10. I'm being generous. Like, it wasn't even an 8 out of 10, but the ending does, not the ending, but the last 150 pages help out. The ending, how they thwart the bad guys, is just lame. Like, it would have been better off if they just executed them, killed them all right there. And mercilessly, which would be crazy if they did, if Tom Clancy wrote that into it. And I probably would have been like, whoa, that's insane. But at least it would have been more like, oh my god, it would have been way more dramatic than how it did end. And I won't tell you the ending because it'll spoil it. But the three plots, they're recycled. So if you read any of other Clancy books, you know what's going on. So you have a Russian terrorist hired by this other guy to hire these other terrorists to start doing crazy terrorist things to get the world on edge, to be more high alert for terrorism because the Olympics are coming up. And you have this other group of people that's creating this new Ebola strain. Oh no, where did we read Ebola last? Okay, and this new Ebola strain that they're going to let loose at the Olympics. Oh no, where did we read about canisters of Ebola being let loose somewhere? You know what I mean? It just, I don't know. I didn't like the book. Like, I don't even know if I should give it an 8 out of 10. But it's too late. I already put it in my notes. And it's going to be an 8 out of 10. It is Tom Clancy. Everything within is great writing, phenomenal writing, great story overall, as always, but it just was already done. He already did it. All three subplots that laid into the main plot were already done. I mean, at least you got a lot more like the I guess what you could call it, the covert operations for, Rainbow Six, the new team with John Clark and Domingo Chavez. Was pretty cool. You know what I mean? It was okay. But if you know what I like in these type of books, this genre, I like a lot of the story. I'm not too intent. It doesn't have to be super action packed. I've grown to know that I don't need all the action in a military thriller genre book. If the story is really good and the characters are really good, Clancy's characters are lacking, as they always have. But he is a master storyteller, so he makes up for that. But in this particular book, just like in a couple of other of his recent ones we've reviewed, it was just way too long. It would have benefited from being in between 400 and 500 pages. It would have been a perfect book. I think even with the recycled plots, it would have been a higher rating, and I wouldn't be here complaining about the book in the review. But being at 897 pages, it was ridiculous. It didn't need to be, and it hurt the book overall. Yeah, that's the review. I got nothing else to say about this book. I'm glad it's over with, and I'm going to be moving on to some palate cleansers for a couple of books before I get back to the military thriller genre. I have Louis L'Amour, The Shadow Riders coming up, and then I'm going to read a book that my wife is going to read with me, or wants me to read, since she's been reading military thrillers. So I'm going to read some book called the Spell Store or something like that. The Spell Shop, which I'll show her in the video. And then I'm going to get back to my military thriller genre. I might read Mark Cameron, and I do have a Minecraft book that I'm saving for the end of the month, but I might read Mark Cameron after the Spell Store and Spell Shop. But we'll see, you know what I mean? But I do have Shadow Riders coming up, which I already started this morning before work, and it was absolutely great. I loved it. So that's the video today, guys. Like, subscribe, comment down below later.